guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back. I decided to do another one tonight, and it may not be as long. In fact, it probably won't be. But I am going to do another one just so that we can get caught up a little bit on the Q-related news. And let's get to it. All right. Who do you see more often than me? I don't know. All right, let's go. We're going to just pick up from where we left off in the last one, and we are in. By the way, I wanted to thank you guys, those of you that are my Patreon subscribers. I appreciate it so much. And those of you that are so nice and buy me coffee every now and then, I really appreciate it because, as you know, this is not a monetized channel, and I do not advertise at all, and I would like to keep it that way, and as long as I possibly can, I will, because I don't like interrupting things, trying to sell people things they don't want to buy anyway. So there you go. Anyway, let's get into this. All right, let's start here. And just a minute, the last one just uploaded. I'm just going to share that to Twitter. And I'm going to come back here. A school district warns parents pay lunch bill or kids may go into foster care. Are you kidding me? So now I guess being poor is a crime? You know, the parents may have fallen on hard times. They may have lost their jobs. They may be ill and not able to work. So yeah, okay, it's important. You got to pay the lunch bill. But if you can't, should your kids go into foster care? Well, in Pennsylvania, I guess they should, according to them. A Pennsylvania school district received a backlash after warning parents their children could be removed from their homes and placed into foster care if overdue lunch bills are not paid. That's a bit excessive, don't you think? Yeah, you know, the Wyoming Valley West School District in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, said about 1,000 student accounts owe a total amount of more than $20,000 in school lunch debt. 4 parents owe at least $450 each. Okay, but what are their stories? What are they, ne'er-do-wells? Are they sniffing dope at home, or what are they doing? You know, maybe one of the parents are ill. Maybe they've lost a job. Maybe they're falling on hard times. For $450, you're going to take their kids? Are you serious? It's absolutely asinine, ludicrous. And, you know, honestly, I think there's any excuse to get a hold of the children, really, because we know that child protective services aren't so protective, are they? No. And all sorts of horrific things happen to kids in foster care. Now, I'm not saying that every foster family is like that. Most certainly they are not. There are some that are in it not for the money, but because they actually do love children and they want to help. But those are the exception. A lot of people do it for money, and the kids are not treated well. That's just a fact. Now, I don't know. Now, don't get angry with me if you are a foster parent, because I'm not saying that you are that way at all. There are good people out there. Absolutely, there are good people out there. But there are also not so good people. So there you go. Anyway, it's hard for me to even fathom this. Your child has been sent to school every day without money and without a breakfast and or lunch. The initial letter said this is failure to provide your child with proper nutrition, and you can be sent to dependency court for neglecting your child's right to food. If you are taken to dependency court, the result may be your child being removed from your home and placed in foster care. The letter continues, according to The Hill, please remit payment as soon as possible to avoid being reported to the proper authorities. Now, I guess if it's a fact that they're not sending money to school with the child and they're not sending a lunch and the child has to sit all day through school with no lunch, no breakfast, no lunch, then that is a different kettle of fish there. So I don't know. To me, I would have to know the circumstances before I could make an absolute, I mean, we don't actually know. Yeah, if you are sending your child to school with no food all day, then that's an issue. That's a real big issue. Anyway, please remit payment as soon as possible to avoid being reported to the proper authorities. The letter with the foster care warning was sent out to about 40 households on July 9th. The district director of federal programs, Joseph Muth, told Citizens Voice. Muth said he did not review the letter with the district superintendent before it was sent. On Thursday, the Luzerne County's manager and child welfare agency director wrote the superintendent demanding the district retract the letter. The county maintains that children have never and will never be removed from a home for unpaid bills, and that the letter was a gross misrepresentation of the good work of the county's child welfare services. Wilkes Barre, WYOU TV, reported. School district officials said they will send a new letter to parents with a softer warning and plan to pursue other legal avenues to get the lunch money, such as filing a district court complaint or filing or placing liens on properties. Now, as far as I know, if the lunch bill is not paid for your child, I don't think that they withhold food from your child. I really don't. I think that it just keeps racking up, but I could be wrong. Maybe some of you parents could fill me in, because I don't have children, so I'm talking out of my hat here, or my maintenance hole, one or the other. All right, so Joseph Muth told Scranton's WNEP TV the district has considered serving peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to students with delinquent accounts, but received legal advice against it. So they are still removing food, or they are still receiving food, and they wanted to give them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, feeding a child a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is not the worst that could ever happen to them. There is some nutrition there, but these students are still being fed. And so, yeah, threatening to put their kids in foster care over a bill is a bit excessive. So anyway, not a bit, a lot excessive. For the coming year, the district will qualify for funding to provide free lunches to all students. The district underwrote free lunches for 4 elementary and middle schools during the 2018-19 year, and WNEP TV told school officials suspect some parents did not pay their lunch bills as a form of protest. Don't know. Don't know, don't care. You can't send a child to that's punishing the child for the parent. Maybe they're very, very good parents, but they're having financial problems. Why should you punish both? It doesn't even make sense. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because I thought it was just right offside. Okay, now let's go back and look at this. You may have heard this already because, like I said, I'm a little bit behind on the news. Well, actually, this came out July 19th, and so that was just yesterday, so I'm not that behind. Key witness, sorry, hang on. I've got a little short in my wire here, and if I touch it, then the lighting goes off, and you can blame my new little bundle of joy for that. I do love them, and I am attempting, but all you people that suggest putting things on the cords, it doesn't work for either one of them. Like anything like Tabasco sauce, anything like that, they will just chew through it. So the best suggestion I've had, and I am looking for a place where I can get this, is the little tubing that I can put the wires through. That's what I'm going to do. And I think that should be a very good solution. All right, key witness in Mueller investigation indicted on sex trafficking, child porn charges. You don't say. A key witness in former special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation has been indicted on child pornography and sex trafficking charges, according to a 3-count indictment unsealed on Friday in U.S. District Court for the Eastern Division of Virginia. District of Virginia. Okay, let's look at this. Hang on here.
George Nader, a key witness in special counsel Robert Mueller's probe, has been charged in a new federal indictment with transporting a 14-year-old boy for sex. The Washington Post notes, according to 3-count indictment, in February 2000, Nader brought a 14-year-old boy from Europe to the United States through Dulles Airport and brought him to his home in Washington, D.C. for sexual activity. The Daily Beast states, Nader, a 60-year-old Lebanese-American businessman with deep political and financial ties to the United Arab Emirates, was a key cooperator in Mueller's probe of foreign influence in the 2016 election. According to the Post, Nader has pleaded not guilty.
Well, of course he has. But isn't this interesting? He was...
Mueller's no friend of mine.
Okay, let's go on here. George Nader, 60, is a wealthy Lebanese-American businessman and Middle East expert, Politico reported, adding that Nader was indicted on charges of importing child pornography and traveling with a minor to engage in sexual activity. Yeah, some witness you have there, Mueller. The Hill reported that Nader was a key witness, not just any witness, a key witness in Mueller's investigation, and sat for multiple interviews, including one that was conducted under a proffer agreement, a potential signal that he believed he could be charged with crimes, and spoke to prosecutors on the condition his statements wouldn't be used against him. Yeah, that's a great witness you got there, Mueller. Yeah, he's just top notch. Nader was arrested in January 2018 when he arrived in the U.S. from Dubai, when federal law enforcement officials searched 3 iPhones, and they obtained with a search warrant, they allegedly found child porn. Are all those guys into that? Seriously, really? I mean, you've got reports of, boys visiting the White House during George Bush. I don't know. It just seems like it's the whole world into pedophilia. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't. I'm sorry. I can read about it. I can read all the psychology behind it. I still don't get it. I don't. There has to be something bad wrong when you look at a child and you're sexually aroused by a child. Really bad wrong. And if that ever happens to you, run. Don't walk to your nearest, mental health person, whether it be a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor, whatever. Get help. Because it's not going to get better. Politico added that prosecutors filed a criminal complaint against Nader over the images. Sorry, I lost myself here. Over the images in April 2018, but kept the charges under seal and never told his attorneys about them, even as he continued to cooperate with Mueller's probe, lawyers said. Nader served 6 months in prison in 1991 when he was convicted on a child pornography charge in Virginia. CNBC reported that Nader faced a similar charge in Washington, D.C. in 1985, but that case was dismissed as a result of an invalid search warrant. In March 2018, the Associated Press reported that Nader was convicted by Prague's municipal court of 10 cases of sexually abusing minors and was sentenced to a 1-year prison term in May 2003. Court spokeswoman Marketa Pusi told the Associated Press that the crimes reportedly happened between 1999 and 2002, and that he was convicted of moral corruption of minors, sexual abuse, and impairing morals. Yeah, and I'm sure he's just stopped now. I'm sure he's just all clean now. This is unbelievable. Key witness. Key. These are the types of people that Mueller collected to try to bring some sort of accusation, whatever, charge against Trump and to get him out. You know, if it weren't for the fact that it's all there in black and white, it would be hard to believe, wouldn't it? Really. Like if you were reading this in a novel, wouldn't you say, that couldn't happen? No, I don't think so. Just proof that truth is stranger than fiction. Much stranger. All right, well, that's that. And this from Michael on Twitter, not up next on CNN. Well, of course, CNN doesn't report any real news. Proving once again the dangers of blindly following your own manufactured liberal dogma, journalist travels to Ilhan Omar's homeland to prove Somalia is beautiful and to debunk the stereotypes, but she gets killed by Islamic terrorists. Like I said, truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah, she wanted to go there just to prove that, Somalia is a beautiful country and that, to debunk these stereotypes that we all have of Somalia. And she ends up becoming a stereotype. Right, because she's killed by Islamic terrorists. Now, I don't want anybody to be killed by terrorists. I don't wish this woman any harm, and I feel terrible. I'm sure she has family and friends that love her, but really, there's people out there that are believing all these lies, and they act on them, and this is what happens. I used to travel all over by myself. I mean, all over. I went all over Central America by myself, and would I do that today? No. Now, maybe it's because I'm older and I'm a little bit wiser, or I'd like to think that I am. But, there's just places that aren't safe. They're not safe. And it's gotten to that point. There's very few places that I would go in the world now alone. I'd travel to the U.S., obviously, and Canada, but, they're not really safe. I mean, they're really not safe. I mean, they're safe, but not in the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm trying to say. All right, let's look at this, shall we? $900,000 gift to Trudeau Foundation labeled largest bribery scandal in Canadian history. I haven't heard this on the Canadian news, and I haven't heard it on the American news, which you would think that it would make both, especially Canadian. But nope, it's being kept under wrap. Sure is. A $928,000 gift from European Climate Foundation founder McCall McBain to 2015 federal election candidate Justin Trudeau represents the largest bribery scandal in Canadian history, claim inside sources. The gift from McCall McBain, European Climate Foundation, is defined by the Criminal Code of Canada as criminal offenses of foreign influenced activity, defined by Canadian Security Intelligence Services Act as threats to the security of Canada. Evidence supporting charge that McCall McBain did in fact donate gift of $928,000 to influence lobby Trudeau in his capacity as Prime Minister of Canada was first made known in a National Post article. Yeah, that's the foundation that has the pedophilia symbol as its symbol. Yeah, that's the one. That's right. The one that, and also he has donated bukus of money to the Clinton Foundation, Canadian taxpayers' money, not his own, of course. And so anyway, evidence supporting charge that McCall did in fact donate a gift of $928,000 to influence lobby Trudeau in the capacity as Prime Minister of Canada was first made known in a National Post article. Money began to rain on Trudeau Foundation once Justin took over. Liberals analysis shows in that article it was confirmed that 1 in 6 donors to Trudeau Family Foundation have affiliation with organizations currently lobbying the government. Well, you don't say. The Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation is an independent and nonpartisan charity established in 2001. Doesn't sound like it's so nonpartisan to me. Does it to you? No, I didn't think so. It was established in 2001 as a living memorial to the former Prime Minister. How often has this organization been mentioned or written up within Canadian media? Never is a reasonable guess. After Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister in 2015, donations to the Trudeau Family Foundation skyrocketed. Gee, I wonder why. How many Canadians are aware of this? None. That's how many. Well, maybe a few. Very few, because establishment media either refuse to report the fact our media is completely bought out by the government. It's not free press here at all. And you think your press is bad? Well, at least you have some alt media that's still reporting. Not here. It's all kept under wraps. Everything's owned. Anyway, how many Canadians are aware of this? Very few, because establishment media either refused to report the act or diluted the information within their coverage. How many Canadians are even aware of the Trudeau Foundation, period? Well, not many. I am, because I had looked into it and looked into the symbol that they have. That kind of struck me right away. Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister in 2015. In 2014, total donations to the foundation were $172 million. In 2016, they skyrocketed to $732 million. The boost included large financial gifts from non-Canadian sources. Media all but ignored this critical news information, and why shouldn't they? They're paid by the Canadian government. The Canadian government gives them lots and lots of grants as long as they report what they're told to report. So that's why they didn't report it. Justin Trudeau, okay. The boost included large financial gifts from non-Canadian sources. Media all but ignored this critical news information. It certainly helps a candidate for Prime Minister when major media organizations omit critical information in order to protect a prime minister, not to mention to assist them getting reelected. Think of Justin Trudeau's chance of victory if, for example, the Globe and Mail selected the title of this article as a media caption within their publication. That would never happen. Basically, it would spell the end of King Justin. This is the power of media within our nation, and the very reason Trudeau gifted our establishment media with over $1 billion since taking office. That's right. That's right. Are you going to bite the hand that feeds you? No, you're not. Yeah. He's given over $1 billion to the establishment media here, who are told what to say and what not to say. A caveat one media chose to downplay is that a media organization must adhere to government standards in order to receive the funding. And what, pray tell, are the Liberals' standards? Hide as much dirt on King Justin as you possibly can. Do not advance or promote any form of populist politics. Do not criticize the Nation of Islam. Brand Anglophones who speak out against globalism, racists, and bigots. Ditto for conservative thinkers. Canada has been hoodwinked. Justin Trudeau didn't simply become prime minister, he hijacked our nation away from its rightful owners, the people of Canada. His self-appointed mandate appears to be ignore the desire of the majority and advance the will of the United Nations, international banking, fundamentalist Islam, and related nefarious global forces. Absolutely true. As with Pierre Trudeau before him, Justin believes he is entitled to own Canada, including the collective consciousness of the nation. Pretty lofty stuff for a lightly educated former drama teacher, snowboard instructor. That's what he was. Part-time drama teacher. That's who is running our country. That's right. And you know what he did before? He was a ski instructor, or as they say, a snowboard instructor. That's what he was. Yeah. And I'm sure he learned all about running the affairs of the country while he was out there teaching snowboarding and drama. Oh, he's good at drama, all right. Oh, he's very good at drama. Can't you tell? That's all it is. It's drama. It's acting. He's acting as a prime minister. He's not one. He is doing exactly what George Soros, what the globalists, what the UN, what they want. That's what happens in Canada. And even if a Muslim commits a crime here, their name's not mentioned. But if a white person commits a crime, oh, they'll be all over the news. That's right. That's why you always know it's who it was committed by the fact that they don't give the name. All right. Well, I wanted to bring you that because that's a little bit gobsmacking if you ask me. Now, of course, it's near and dear to my heart because I was born in Canada and I had to return back here to care for an elderly parent after my brother died. But my heart is certainly in the States, and I want to come back there because I consider that my home. I love the American people, but I do love the Canadian people as well. And I'm someone here as because I am a part Aboriginal. I was in this country. My ancestors were in this country as long as there were people in this country. So I don't like to see this what's happening here. It's quite heart-wrenching. All right, now let's go back because we've got more. Yes, we do. And this I got from Vote on the, I'm not sure if this is and this is the Great Awakening board. It says more Epstein connections, a Wall Street billionaire links to black ops firm. Remember when on that picture that I showed you yesterday, number one, that the whole thing about the submarine, that kind of, who has a submarine? Well, Ghislaine, rather. I always want to call her Giselle because that seems more of a common name. But Ghislaine has her pilot for a submarine, and also there's links to Black Ops. Remember that part of those were part of the underground underneath the temple were devoted to Black Ops operations. So interesting here, we've got a little bit of confirmation. More Epstein connections, a Wall Street billionaire, links to Black Ops firm, and ties to felon who owns KinderCare. You've all probably read about Epstein's ties to billionaire Les Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secrets, and the man who purchased the town home that is known as Epstein's New York City residence. Wexner appears to never have lived in the home, which was purchased in 1989 and then transferred to Epstein for $0 a few years ago. Here's another billionaire's name we are going to be hearing more of soon, Leon Black. Leon Black owns the mega investment banking firm Apollo Group, based in New York City. Besides Wexner, he is the only other money man we know of that has direct financial ties to Epstein. Here's what we know. Black runs one of the world's most profitable investment funds, and his personal net worth is $7 billion. Black owns several large properties in and around New York City, including 7 private townhouses near Epstein's residence. Epstein serves as the only non-family director on Black Family Foundation and remained in that position after Epstein's first pedo conviction. The New York Post writes, "You'd think if you ran a $200 billion firm, you'd distance yourself from a known sex predator like Epstein," a source close to Black told the Post. Hang on. Where did we go here? Okay. Yeah, it's believed, but not yet confirmed, that Epstein managed several personal trusts for Black and his family, one out of the Virgin Islands. So he managed several personal trusts for Black and his family out of the Virgin Islands. And here's the Black Ops connection. What's even more curious about Leon Black, his firm Apollo Group bought Constellus Group, the firm owned by ex-Navy SEAL Eric Prince, originally known as Blackwater. At the time of the purchase in 2016, Constellus had more than 8,000 employees across at least 25 countries in geographic regions such as Africa, the Americas, Europe, and the Middle East. And the contractor's security-related services include training, technology, and advisory support to defense, intelligence, and law enforcement agencies. As many of you know, Blackwater, now known as Constellus Group, is known for leading covert CIA and military operations. Yes, they were very active in the Hurricane Katrina. Very, very active. I know that for a fact. I know lots of information about that. Is known for leading covert CIA and military operations, primarily in the Middle East. It's unknown if Prince remains involved in Constellus after its acquisition by Apollo Group. And I must have cut it off there a little bit too soon, but anyway, KinderCare connection. How does Leon Black know Jeffrey Epstein? It's likely through a mutual friend, Michael Milken, a former trader known as the Junk Bond King, who worked for investment firm Drexel Burnham Lambert. Leon Black was also a high-level executive at the firm, as Gawker noted in a 2008 article, but it's worth noting that Epstein has long-standing ties to Michael Milken, who used to work with Black at Drexel Burnham, and the lawyers who represented a number of Drexel employees in the wake of the firm's scandalous collapse. Gerald Lefcourt also represented Epstein in connection with the underage prostitution charges. As many of you know, Michael Milken served several years in prison for defrauding investors in the scam that took down Drexel Burnham and was the biggest financial scandal of the 1980s. Milken remains to this day a very wealthy man with assets in excess of $3 billion. Milken operated out of a Drexel Burnham office in Los Angeles and continues to have close ties to Hollywood, so it's possible this is Epstein's connection to the Los Angeles elite. And more curiously, this tidbit from his Wikipedia page. Milken and his brother Lowell founded Knowledge Universe in 1996, as well as Knowledge Learning Corporation, KLC, the parent company of KinderCare Learning Centers, the largest for-profit childcare provider in the country. He is currently chairman of the company. That's right, folks. Milken owns KinderCare Learning Centers, which provides programs for children from age 6 weeks to 12 years old. This rabbit hole is deep. Oh, it's deep, all right. Black is named in the 2,000 pages of legal documents from Epstein's first investigation, which we expect to be released shortly. Stay tuned, and we will stay tuned. So, now, this is going to be something very, very interesting, okay? And if you haven't heard this before, then you will find this fascinating. I hope you will. Temple of Slaves, Epstein's ode to the Mamluks. Now, I know you're thinking, what on earth? Stay tuned. The temple on Epstein Island has deeper meaning than what the MSM and other disinformation agents are trying to push. Look at the design from a historical perspective and you will come to understand that it's linked to the trafficking of young children and brainwashing them to do the bidding of the elite. One of QAnon's latest posts highlights a snippet of an ABC article that tries to build a story around the temple's function as a gym. Remember that? Remember how we discussed that and said, okay, that's ridiculous. They're trying to give disinformation to take the pressure off what really occurs there or occurred there. It's probably not occurring right now because the feds are they probably have a very close eye on it. All right. So they tried to explain it as a gym rather than explain what it's modeled after. While we don't know what the function of the temple is, we do know the symbolism behind it. Let's take a look at Q's latest post, number 3454. And it says a color hang on here. He links to an article, and the primary purpose of the article, a colorful building that some news reports have called the temple, was actually a gym where Epstein worked out when he was on the island, Scully said, noting in an interview with ABC News that the gym had a memorable feature, a massive framed photo of a topless woman. Now, that's ridiculous. Really, it is, because they have the real thing. Are they going to be putting up pictures of No, I doubt it. How do you shape a story? Q asks. Facts versus fiction. Think for yourself. Q. Now let's take a look at Q's other post, number 3446, that shows a medieval building that has a striking resemblance to Epstein's temple. And it's this. Remember, we had looked at this and I said I didn't know where it was. Turns out, I think, that it is a public bath, a Turkish bath. Symbolism will be their downfall. Q. The building that Q posted is called Hammam Yalbuka, Mamluk-era public bath that was built in 1491. To understand the significance of Epstein's temple, we have to dig into the past of the Mamluks. Who are the Mamluks? Well, Mamluks, also spelled Mameluke, was a class of people, mostly of Turkic or Caucasian ethnicity, who served as slave soldiers between the 13th and 16th century in the Islamic world, spanning from Egypt to Syria. The name Mamluk is derived from an Arabic word meaning slave, which actually comes from the 10th century AD. They were known as the ones that defeated the Mongols and the Crusaders and established a dynasty that lasted hundreds of years. There are two distinct periods during the Mamluk reigns. The first period saw the Baha'i dynasty that ruled Egypt between 1250 to 1382 AD. This dynasty would import young slaves, mainly Qipchak Turks from Central Asia, and groom them to be warriors. They were more in common with the Mongols than with the people of Egypt and Syria, along whom they lived with, while making sure they did not mix with the locals. The second period saw the rise of the Burji Circassian dynasty, which ruled from 1382 to 1517 AD. The Circassian Mamluks were white slaves that were taken from the northern Caucasus Mountains and traded in slave markets. They were captured in their early childhood, usually around 13 years of age, by the sultans who raised them in special military camps to become soldiers for the ruling class. Many of the sultans were of Circassian origin themselves and were acquired as slaves by previous sultans. These Circassians converted to Islam and became freed after rising within the ranks of the military by proving their loyalty. This is the period that is relevant to this report, so let's explore further. From the book, A Military History of Modern Egypt, from the Ottoman Conquest to the Ramadan War, by the late 14th century, Circassians from the North Caucasus region had become the majority in the Mamluk ranks. From Wikipedia, while Mamluks were purchased as property, their status was above ordinary slaves who were not allowed to carry weapons or perform certain tasks. In places such as Egypt, from the Ayyubid dynasty to the time of Muhammad Ali of Egypt, Mamluks were considered to be true lords and true warriors with social status above the general population in Egypt and the Levant. In a sense, they were like enslaved mercenaries. What Voltaire had to say about the Circassians. The Circassians are poor, and their daughters are beautiful, and indeed it is them they chiefly trade. They furnish with those beauties the Seraglio of the Turkish Sultan, of the Persian Sofi, and all of those who are wealthy enough to purchase and maintain such precious merchandise. These maidens are very honorably and virtuously instructed how to fondle and caress men, are taught dances of very polite and effeminate kind, and how to heighten by the most voluptuous artifices the pleasure, I have a hard time with that word, the pleasures of the disdainful masters for whom they are designed. The significance of Mamluk architecture and the relation to Epstein's temple. The Mamluk style of architecture was considered eclectic because it borrowed from different cultures and was integrated into their own in accordance with that which suited the function and ideology of the Muslims. Throughout the Mamluk Empire, you will find many buildings, especially mosques, using what we know today as the ablaq style. Ablaq is the architectural style involving alternating or fluctuating rows of light and dark stone. Although the ablaq style isn't unique to the Mamluks, they utilized the ablaq lighting effect heavily, which was a dominant feature throughout their empire. They basically made it their own. This architectural decision was also pushed by the Sufis, Islamic mystics, according to their interpretation of Islam. They were similar to the Gnostics of the Christians. You are not a Christian if you are a Gnostic. They are two separate things, but they are now being, that's a very long story and something I'm very familiar with, but we'll skip over that for now. The so-called illuminated ones. Here are some quotes from a couple of Sufis in the area, from that area. Reason is God's shadow. God is the sun. What power has the shadow before the sun? The cosmos is all darkness. It is illuminated only by the manifestation of God in it. Whoever sees the cosmos and does not contemplate him in it, or by it, or before it, or after it, is in need of light, and is veiled from the sun by gnosis, by the cloud of created things. Now, what is Gnosticism? To make it, I'm going to tell you, we as Christians, if you are a believer, we as Christians believe that it is the blood of Christ that was he was sacrificed for our sin, and which atones for that sin, and belief in him is what allows us eternal life. We will die at some point and be resurrected because Jesus was the first fruit of the resurrected. And the Gnostics believe that you attain godhood, or you reach God by illumination, by knowledge, by gnosis, knowledge. And it is that which saves you. It is the knowledge. And so that is the two things that are competing. And you can't have a Gnostic Christian because it is fundamentally against what Christianity is. You know, they are diametrically opposed, and yet there is this move afoot to marry the two, and we're seeing it every day. I write about that in my book, and I'm not trying to sell books. I'm just saying I do write about that in my book, and it's something that I am well familiar with. So anyway, let's go on here. Here's an example of Mamluk architecture using the ablaq style, and we can see here it's the alternating dark and light here, and all of this is the architecture of that. And this is a great video that describes light as the integral component in Circassian Mamluk architecture. Well, we're not going to take the time to look at that now. This is on, well, I will show you what website this is on when we finish. EPSTEIN's temple was an ode to the Mamluk era of when captured children were taken as slaves to do the bidding of the elite class. Now, do you see the connection? It's an ode to the Mamluk era of when captured children were taken as slaves to do the bidding of the elite class. Young boys were taken and groomed to later become soldiers, while young girls were taken and groomed to later become personal concubines of their masters. Do you now see the parallel between the Mamluks and EPSTEIN? These people are sick. With that said, let's see what Q posted about these enslaved children and their puppet masters. Post number 923. They made many current, former enslaved children famous. Hollywood is filled with them. Models find the loudest voices. Brainwashed. Who was adopted? Who was born in? They thought the sheep would follow the stars. And this is another Q post, and I'm going to read to you the highlighted area. How were they adopted into the cult as children? What were they provided for obeying and staying silent? Brainwashed. They were brainwashed to stay silent and obey. So that is interesting, if you ask me. And if you pay attention now that you know this, you can look for this symbolism, the alternating light and darkness. You can look right on the set of Ellen DeGeneres. Now, I'm not sure if, I don't know. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just telling you for a fact it's there. So yeah, and isn't that interesting that those Turkish bathhouses have that same architectural feature? And what they do is there are literally enslaved young girls that service the men as they are bathing. So yeah, this is all very, very fascinating. This website is called centipedenation.com. centipedenation.com. If you would like to look up some of their other things, they are quite fascinating. I haven't read everything yet, but what I have read is extremely interesting and accurate. So let's go back now. Now, aren't you glad I came back? Yeah, to do another one, because this is we're getting into some really interesting things. Now, this is the whole thing about Ghislaine and the submarine, I believe. I think that's where it's taking us. Poor little Xander gets so excited, and he's just tiny, and he gets so excited he falls out of the window, which is probably how my curtains came down. Okay, exploring women. Ghislaine Maxwell, ocean citizen. Yeah, ocean citizen. Women, okay, is this where? So she scuba dives. And is this where she, maybe this isn't. Oh yeah, there she is. On my first submarine dives, she is a certified submersibles pilot. There you go. She's a certified submersibles pilot. So, kind of makes sense now, don't you think, that they have a submarine, you know, a place where submarines can launch there. I think it's very interesting. I'm not going to read all that because it's just going to be too long, and I took too long with the first video, probably reading things that I didn't need to totally read, but hey, I'm only human. All right, and let's look at this, shall we? Now, illegal immigrants drive child sex crime charges in North Carolina. North Carolina data indicates massive hidden problem nationwide. In North Carolina, during the past 18 months, more than 331 illegal aliens have been charged with 1,172 child rapes and child sexual assaults, according to data collected by an independent researcher. James Johnson, who tracks the data on his website, ncfire.info, North Carolinians for Immigration Reform and Enforcement, says he is only able to gather data from 30 of the state's 100 counties, which means it's likely the statewide count is significantly higher. Johnson has tracked rapes and sexual assaults on children by illegal aliens since 2013, using original police reports and calling arrest agencies to verify immigration status. His data doesn't cover every month, but for the 54 months he has recorded, an average of 34 illegal aliens per month were charged with 151 counts of raping or sexually assaulting a child in North Carolina. Further, a study shows that only 12% of child rapes are reported, according to the National Sex Violence Resource Center, meaning the total number could be almost 10 times higher. Wow, I had no idea. Only 12% are reported. And I wonder why that is. Maybe because it's a boyfriend of the mother that she doesn't want to get in trouble? I don't know. Further, a study showed, okay, I just read that. It's happening in every state. We just happen to be compiling the information. It's a mess, Johnson told the Epoch Times. The ones that I cannot confirm as being illegal aliens, I do not put in the report, so our reports are obviously on the low side every month because we can't get around to every county, every arrest report, and we can't verify every one that we come across. He said that in the last 6 years, he has only had to pull 3 reports off the site due to receiving incorrect information from the arresting agency. So yeah, imagine if this is the case in North Carolina, extrapolate that to all the other states, because I'm sure the numbers are similar, probably more in some states like Texas and California, New Mexico, some of those states. It makes me sick. It really does make me sick, because these people are in the country illegally. They seem to have all these favors granted to them. And do they deserve these favors? This is what they do. This is how they repay America. Rapes their children. Yeah, the Democrats don't care about the safety of our children and the safety of U.S. citizens. No, they don't. And the safety of those legal aliens, which are green card holders, they don't care about them. All right, now let's go back and see if there's anything else. Okay, we've already covered this, just by a different. All right, and this was provided to me by Nini Rags on Twitter, and she, or I would imagine it is she, is a good person to follow on Twitter, so I just wanted to give her a shout out there, and thank you for showing me this. Let's look at this. This is very interesting, and thanks again, Nini. All right, now this is Ilhan Omar's family tree. Ilhan Omar's father was top propaganda official in genocidal Bar regime, changed his name, entered the U.S. illegally. On Thursday, David Steinberg published an extensive report on the alleged crimes and history of Representative Ilhan Omar and the Omar family. In his report, David found that Omar family changed their name in order to enter the United States. In 1995, Ilhan entered the United States as a fraudulent member of the Omar family. That is not her family. The Omar family is a second unrelated family which was being granted asylum by the United States. The Omars allowed Ilhan, her genetic sister Sahra, and her genetic father Nur Saad to use false names to apply for asylum as members of the Omar family. Ilhan's genetic family split up at this time. The above three received asylum in the United States, while Ilhan's three other siblings, using their real names, managed to get asylum in the United Kingdom. Ilhan Omar's name before applying for asylum was Ilhan Nur Said Almai. Her father's name before applying for asylum was Nur Said Almai Mohammed. Her sister Sahra Noor's name before applying for asylum was Sahra Nur Said Almi. Her three siblings who were granted asylum by the United Kingdom are Leila Nur Said Almi, Mohammed Nur Said Almi, and Ahmed Nur Said Almi. How do you like that? I'm not liking it very much. Okay, I don't know if I can make that bigger, so let's just go down here. And far left, communist Minnesota representative Ilhan Omar's father and other Somalian war crime perpetrators are currently living illegally in the United States. That's right. No wonder she supports communist terrorists and illegal aliens. The Gateway Pundit has obtained information that is damning for Minnesota Congresswoman. Hang on, let me make this a little bigger here. I know, you tiny phone people. I don't forget you. The Gateway Pundit has obtained information that is damning for Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Omar's father, Nur Omar Mohammed, aka Nur Said Almi Mohammed, is connected to the former dictator in Somalia, said Barr. Nur and other former Barr accomplices are living in the U.S. illegally. Yes, how do you feel about that? I don't feel too good about it. Omar's dictator family is living in the United States illegally since 1995. This woman does not belong in Congress or anywhere near the U.S. Ali is a convicted war criminal who did the killing himself. Ali has been located in the U.S. working as security at Dulles International Airport and driving for Uber in 2019. I know, truth is stranger than fiction. It literally curdles my blood because you've got this guy who's a war criminal who did the killing himself, and he's working security at Dulles International Airport and driving for Uber. He reportedly lived at one time in Alexandria, Virginia. Ali was a colonel in the Somalian Army, 5th Mechanized Brigade in 1987 and was a graduate of the Pentagon's Program for Foreign Officers in 1986. He's also a war criminal in response to his actions in Somalia. Now I'm going to give you the link, I'm going to tell you the link to this website. It's actually Voice Liberty, voiceliberty.com, voiceliberty.com, because some of these pictures are so small and you might be able to see them better if you were, able to bring up the website yourself. Nur, Representative Omar's father, appears to have been a party propagandist under the dictator and was responsible for ideological aspects of the Red-Green Revolution. He worked for the Marxist-Stalinist regime under dictator Barr as a teacher of teachers. This could have included providing the ideological political justification for the massacres of the late 80s. It is not a secret that Ilhan Omar's father illegally entered the United States. And how exactly did her father scam their way in? Her father also worked hard to get here. They're citizens, not green card holders. She swore an oath to become said citizen. She's just as American as you and I, man. And they worked for the brutal Barr regime. Her father worked for the regime and then came to America pretending to be one of its victims. Yeah, That's her father. And I'm not saying you are far right, but the only sources that publish that story are far, far right. Legit sources say her family was liberal, dad a teacher, fled war, ended up in a refugee camp. And this by Maximud R. What kind of teacher gets to catch flights after a regime falls? Well, that's true. And Real Liberty, read it in her own words. She explains the night Barr's regime, including her family, were driven from Mogadishu and that her formerly very privileged life came to a halt. Her family was no longer welcome in Somalia. Oh, that's why she can't go back. Yeah. According to a 2016 article on Omar, when the Marxist regime was overtaken, the secure compound that the family lived in was under attack by 20 armed men. Somehow the family escaped. It is not clear how. Either the family had superior armed guards within their compound, or they bribed the attackers and sent them on their way, or the story is a complete fabrication. Both Ali and Noor escaped Somalia after the fall of Barr because they were no longer safe and would have been put on trial and shot if caught. They exited the country, both ended up in the US, and both hid the fact that they worked for a totalitarian regime. Both lied on their Form N-400 application for naturalization about their communist background. They had to, or they wouldn't be here. Yes, right, they had to lie on their naturalization forms. The Immigration and Nationality Act contains a prohibition on naturalization for anyone involved within the last 10 years with a group that advocates or teaches opposition to all organized government, or involved with the Communist Party or any other totalitarian party of the US or any foreign state, or who advocates world communism or totalitarian dictatorship, even without formal group membership. Both Nur and Yusuf should be disqualified from permanent U.S. residency, and revocation of their U.S. citizenship should take place. Representative Omar reportedly lied after she married her brother in order to assist him in obtaining U.S. citizenship. This would obviously disqualify Omar and her brother from legal citizenship. It looks like illegal citizenship is all in the family for Omar and her family, like father, like daughter, like son. Deport all illegal war criminals now. Sign petition to remove American-hating Ilhan Omar from Congress. They are a pest in this nation, trying all they can to bring about the destruction of America. It's time to take action. Again, this website is voiceliberty.com. All right, now, I think time is a ticking here. It's after 12 midnight, so I think what I'm going to do is wrap this up, even though I have lots more news. I certainly do. Actually, I have a lot more news. Yes, I do. But that's it for now. I think we're going to wrap it up there so that I can get me and my maintenance hole to bed. And remember, don't call them manholes anymore. All right, that's it. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because deception will bite you on your maintenance hole. Yes, it will. All right, good night.